Hello, welcome back. Last session of the day for day 2, Build Stuff 2021 on the Saturn stage, stage number 6. I would like to welcome to the stage for our last talk of the day, Andrei Danilov. Andrei, welcome, and you're on mute.
Hello there.
Hello there, the call of 2021. Do you know you're on mute? Welcome to the stage. How are you doing?
Actually super good. Have been a good day, and sun is finally here back in Barcelona. It was very rainy during this week, so we enjoyed a bit of that.
I'm very pleased that you've got sun. It's we've had a cloudy day all day today here in the Netherlands. It's and it's going dark because it's winter. But so you're calling to us from Barcelona then. That was going to be my next question. Whereabouts are you located? We've had speakers from everywhere today on this stream. It's been fantastic. Okay, I don't want to steal too much of your time, so I am going to pass the baton over to you. So Andrei, take it away.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Stace, and let's keep this going. So as you know, I'm Andrei, and about myself as a professional, just to know a bit more, I will always kind of enjoy the creative side of technology and the data-driven side of technology. And I think through my blogs and talks, what I'm trying to achieve is to inspire maybe many of you to bring value to your organizations in different ways that, and maybe ingenious ways that they are yet to be explored. So apart from that, like on the personal side, I enjoy a lot traveling, gastronomic experiences, and generally experimenting new things. Right now, I'm studying a master's in artificial intelligence, so that's something as well that, out of curiosity, I'm developing. Previously, this year, I was part of a platform team at Typeform, my current company, that was called Software Engineering Tools and Infrastructure. So the main aim of this team was actually to support the organization with different processes or self-built or existing market tools that or standards or infrastructure or metrics that throughout the whole software delivery life cycle help the platform be stable. So why I'm mentioning all of this is because as part of this team, I've managed to gain the experience to make the talk of today. And we rolled out the solution that I'm going to mention a bit later. And the lessons learned are coming from these experiences. And today, as part of that, we'll be talking about a story, a story about scaling up. In 2021, things have been considerably changing since the first time Typeform came live in 2013. Typeform is growing now as a brand, and also, as you can imagine, as a brand, you also need to have a pretty good platform behind it, and the technological side needs to grow as well. So, as the main, let's say, product started to mature and the user base to grow, and all of this, not just in one part of the platform, but like in many of it, we realized that we are facing kind of new challenges that we need to tackle if we want to be able to continue to growing as a global brand, not just in the countries that we work in. So one of these challenges is pretty straightforward to guess. Basically having your product available throughout different regions of the world. And you don't really start noticing that you really need this until maybe you start to have a huge number of customers or users in a part of the world that you didn't expect because just your product got traction over there. You think your platform is like up and running because your production monitoring systems actually hit your systems with like in these health checks and whatsoever from the exact same location where those systems are related, and you actually have downtime that you don't notice. And these customers that are affected might open customer support tickets that generates calls in the middle of the night or things like that that neither of us like. So as a company that wants to grow and scale, we kind of realized that we need to prepare the platform not just to be better reacting in this situation, but also to be able to kind of proactively tackle problems that they occur. No? And as a startup, when the journey started to feel kind of comfortable, we realizing that we are facing yet again, as in the beginning, a lot of unknowns that we need to figure out. We realized that we were no longer a startup, but something else that needs to grow even more. So this means that we're starting the journey all over from scratch, with a lot of unknown variables and so on. And customers also started to have different expectations from the product, because it was no longer a startup and a small product. No, we were selling it to bigger clients, and this needed to come with some change and adaptation from our end in order to be able to make it in order to scale it. And all of this was very interesting for us. And this leads us to like a crazy fact about growing a business, and that growing a business, actually, it's a thing out of your control. No, your product can start to have random traction in random places over the world you definitely don't expect, or people might start using parts of your products in ways that you don't expect and you didn't thought about yet. So you think at some point that, yeah, I know a lot about my platform, I know about the product and it does this, but as you grow, you realize that you know just a little of that and how much is yet to explore and learn. So in this context, there are many improvements that you could bring to your platform. The service you're providing, processes, and yeah, generally your focus that the company has. No? And this requires not only engineering change, but also things for product, generally a change from the whole company. But yeah, this conference is more about engineering, no? And we'll focus on engineering topics. So the key aspect when growing as a product from a startup, like kind of design solution with a lot of MVPs, services, MVP, project that starts to become very big suddenly and doesn't have a good base, no, a strong base, and the kind of ship fast, fail faster mentality. This definitely was positive and allowed us to scale, but you need to start thinking about becoming more reliable when you are scaling up. So as your software starts to have traction and people use it with a lot of more frequency, they expect your software to always be up for them and available for them. So of course, this is just one side of the coin of the challenges that engineering is facing while scaling up. So in this context, there are many improvements that you could bring to your platform or software, no? And as our software started to report problems in different parts of the world, but for example, in Spain or United States, where we have a huge user base, it was working. It was kind of pretty clear to us that one of the things we needed to start looking at is the availability outside of the current spotlight that we are looking at, no? We thought, what if we had something for multiple areas of the globe? No, maybe have this coupled with our electric system that already we have in place. So in case we do have a downtime, we can react and repair much faster and don't wait for customers to open tickets to our agents and have this long delay. So these are the 3 topics that we are going to cover today. First of all, I dive in multiple considerations and questions you need to ask yourself in order to be able to build your very own regional monitoring strategy and roll it out successfully in your company. Secondly, I look at the particular set of tools that are out there that can enable to technically have that strategy in place. And last but not least, I've taken one of the tools that are out there and I'll show you around to see how that works and how easy is to technically set this up. No? So I mentioned this how easy it is to set it up. No? So there are many tools out there that also promise this effortless or almost effortless solutions to this particular problem. And most of them, they are right, I would say. Obviously, each one of them comes with its own set of features. You need to do things differently in once, and it kind of makes it unique. You have fancy integrations, different set of locations, pricing, etc. Right? But speaking strictly about technical perspective, there is indeed a very low complexity to set these things up. The learning curve is very, very very high, and yeah, and I actually love when technology makes it so simple for us, no, and helps us focus on what we actually need, no, solving the processes, problems that we have in our organization, and actually bringing faster value towards that. So if the challenge is not setting up the tool, where is the challenge? Well, actually, the challenge is actually about all of the rest of the things but the tool. And that's actually everything in engineering, understanding what needs to be built and how it's going to be used before putting any finger on the keyboard and typing. No? So up next, I will share with you 10 things that you need to be asking yourself so you can build up your own strategy for monitoring your platform from different locations, together with some tips and tricks and lessons learned from my end. But before we move forward, I'd like to ask out there, you in the chat, is there any downtime in a particular location of the globe that you were getting recently and not a general outage? Does anybody have experienced this recently in their environment? No, I left some space for like the answers, but I see we have some shy attendants, so don't feel shy. Just reply in the chat. There's a lot of it. So, okay, moving forward to it, I understand that maybe it's a no. The first one. It's a bit more difficult. From all the locations we have on the globe, which ones to monitor, which one do we choose to monitor? So obviously, if you're not a teleco company or something similar, it's not really feasible to really monitor each tiny location from the globe. That's kind of impossible, actually. So look at the tips and tricks here is look at what matters for your business. Things like, for example, top X location by user base, top X customer location by visits, top X location by premium customers, no, should help you understand where you need to put your focus, and definitely look at your SLAs and legal agreements. Do you need to provide something special in any particular location? Our approach at Typeform was to have as a baseline a mix of our top locations by visits with top location by customers. So what does location exactly mean? Is it a city, a country, or a region? It can be any of the options or combination that I just mentioned, and this depends mostly on how your business operates. For example, think that you're a food delivery company with a strong presence in big cities or metropolis. Monitoring the particular cities in this case makes more sense than regions or countries where the downtime in one city might go actually unnoticed, right, for a while or longer. So at Typeform, we set it up for a mix of countries and regions because cities are not so important for us. But we are aware that this can change at any time based on what our customers say and where they're coming from. And this question might appear before or after selecting the location. Should the chosen location be treated all in the same way? Meaning, should I trigger alerts in the same way for all of the locations that I have? Ideally, is to treat them in the same way. An alert that is coming, for example, in your platform in Barcelona, no, and in San Francisco, put them the same way, no? But realistically speaking, this goes a bit like any other production incident or production bug that might be out there, no? Where do we start first? Which regions do we start? So definitely there needs to be some sort of priority over there. And using the already predefined company's priority system can help you over there. At Typeform, currently we're treating all of the location in the same way because we haven't have failures that happen in different parts of the world at the same time. If they happen, that was isolated to one area. But we know that due to the regional and countries mix and the way that we have set up the tool that is helping us with that, some regions and some cities or some locations are definitely a bit more important than others. And that's by design choice. So how frequent do these monitors execute over the production instance of my platform? How should they do? Well, looking at traffic is the best way to tackle this. And a couple of users per minute might not give us enough reasons to monitor often. But as we're talking about scaling platforms here, scaling business, I believe that the chosen location will be with the high traffic. So generally choosing something that is once per minute is like the bare minimum. A granularity above the minute might make you unaware of for too much time that you have a problem. And something that is below is definitely great to have now. We are trying to go at Typeform even below the minute right now. But you asked me, what if we execute each minute? We'll end up with a lot of randomly generated data now. It's maybe like 45,000 entries per month in like a customer database or I don't know, any other visits database in the analytics, no? And even the security might trigger some alerts, no? Because this might look like bot activity or suspicious, no? Yes, that can be a lot of numbers. And if you think about the yearly, you might have 1 million extra entries and visits per endpoint just because of this particular solution. So, and the only way to go ahead is flagging it, and so it doesn't interfere with any other system that collect data at your organization. No, you can do this while, for example, allow listing the API, adding certain bypass headers, user agents, parameterize somehow the request, and so on. So we have, for example, in my organization, we have different systems that have different requirements for this. So the system that we have set up and have in place is definitely adapted to all of them, which are all of the things that I've just mentioned. So should this monitoring system create an alert each time a failure is generated? I'd say not really, and this is for a couple of reasons. One of the most important one is that the servers on the location in the tool you are using might have a slight unavailability that is on their end, and this might not make it able to connect to your platform. So, but at the same time, this doesn't really mean that your platform is down. It's just a tool problem, right? This shouldn't create an alert, and because this will spam the engineers and they will challenge the robustness of the alerting system on top of it. So we need to be careful here. No, a good practice here is trigger an alert if there is consecutive amount of failures that are identified over that specific location. No, you could set up even a retry in case of failure, or wait for the next execution to take the decision, depending also on the frequency of the execution that you choose for the monitor. Now, as more granular, the best. And we also talk a lot about failures, but what are they? What should we consider a failure in this case? No. What I've seen is that all the tools come with some default understanding of what the failure is, which is pretty much standardized within them. Basically, errors in HTTP requests, like the ones that you know and are super familiar with, timeouts, and everything around this area. Of course, you can add your own failure criteria, like maybe you have some custom error codes that you've added in your organization that you want to add on top of the default options. Lower the timeouts thresholds to something more, or the latency thresholds to something more fast, so you can also get an alert based on that. And this is all depending on the SLAs and the general policy regarding performance at your company. But I would say if you're starting and you want to explore how to tweak this, just start with the basics, with the default. Start, learn if that's enough for you, and then along the way decide, should I move this bar higher or lower it? And from there, you get the secret of it. And we're also talking a lot about failures, but who should react first if there is an availability problem in a specific world area? Who should fix it? I'd say in an ideal DevOps environment, it will be definitely the team owning that particular part of the platform. But the reality is, in different engineering organizations, makes this question to depend really on who has the access and knowledge and skills to make the changes. This can be an SRE team, ops, incident management, a platform team, or the team owning that particular part of a product. Nevertheless, it's critical to have someone to react if that happens. So definitely talk about this while setting up this monitors. At Typeform, at first, our team was one to be alerted, so we could understand who is better to contact in case of failure. We have tried out to have the teams owning that as part of the their platform initiative to react, but we have adapted this, and we are having now a more specialized team looking at this as a first line and understanding where are the problems and redirecting this to the teams. It's something happened at the product level. This helped us much more. So what's happening if you have a downtime in all the areas? Because let's say there is a honest defect introduced in production and it's in the product. Isn't this going to trigger a lot of alerts and mostly redundant? Yeah, if you're going to go for the default setup, generally these monitors are going to fail and trigger an alert that would be yet another alert in the clutter of alerts that you might get if you're an on-call engineer. And this is not really ideal from my perspective. This is a problem that generally appears on scaling engineering organization, and luckily there is software out there that can help you grouping the alerts based on root cause, and they can even do this automatically. Like there's some that even say they use AI, like Mooksoft, for example, that they sell this idea that they be able to group alerts based on different events and where they are coming from. But I would say, yeah, this is a challenge, but starting small is even better. Having the alerts on the availability is in different areas is already an important step and a big step. If that's important for you, take this big step first, and then grouping this with other potential failing alerts might be another project that your team could look at in the future, or your organization could look at in the future. And what exactly should we monitor? An endpoint, the complete user journey, all the endpoints you have exposed. If I get, for example, a certain response action happening after hitting an endpoint or completing a journey, what is that we need to monitor? First of all, I would say think about the purpose of this. Checking the availability of the system from different parts of the globe. So let's keep this thing simple. No, a modern tech organization already have some testing in production going on, which tests some complete or partial kind of user journeys, check the response to APIs and etc. And also there are these production tests out there. Don't try to duplicate them. No. Keep it simple. If the purpose is to check if a particular part of the platform is accessible from a different region, just do the minimum if you can to do that. And to achieve that, even a simple ping or a get to one endpoint will achieve it, and will be easy for you to even maintain. And secondly, I would say how to choose this, which are the most important endpoints, is looking at the architecture of the platform. So you can choose what are the exact parts of where you should hit with the monitors. So in a monolithic architecture, I think that's pretty straightforward. No, one monitor doing a get to a specific URL exposed by that. The whole monolithic architecture, no, might be all right. No, in a more microservice kind of architecture, it might not be as feasible to create monitors for each endpoint that you have out there. This is not realistic, no. And because they change and you don't actually control the changes over there. So for example, just understanding how are those things deployed and where and what connection is between them might just help you get to understand what's the risk. And with that risk, just choose the most important and critical endpoints to look at, no? And check if they actually have a downtime from the different parts of the globe. So talking about a lot about the strategy, but let's move about to talk about the tools that are out there. No, we understand a lot about the monitoring system. No, and in this section, we're not trying to point out the superiority of any tool or another, because generally I think all can have some advantages and disadvantages over the other. But rather making sure that you have the right criteria in place to choose, and you know some of the vendors that are out there that might help you already with that and the solutions that exist. So one thing to take into account is should you do it yourself or choosing existing solutions? No, as most of these monitors are pretty simple, this is one of the first consideration you might have into account. No. Why pay for something if I can easily build it? No. Well, an important consideration when considering to build it yourself is having access to servers in different locations if you want to these monitors to be able to run from. No, and this aspect is tricky for most of our organizations, I think, right now that have work in the cloud and so on. And this also costs money as well, so, and kind of effort. So it might be more reasonable if you want to start small to go for an existing solution out there. Also, I've seen that different tools offer different locations to monitor availability from, and most of the tools are offering a very narrow set of locations, which are the exact same ones where the most popular cloud provider like Amazon or Azure or Google Cloud now have their data centers on. So while you choose, think about the quantity of them and also the distribution of them, and if that's an offering that is satisfactory for your business case. No, especially if you know that the company is scaling. No, there might be might not be interested in just those few particular location, and you actually want to build on top of some more concrete ones that are not there's no data centers in. No. The most complete list of location I found was in Uptrends. And this part refers to understanding if the tool can fit a particular monitoring strategy you want to implement. Does it fit the all the use cases? Can it be configured to the desired frequency of monitoring? All of that things. No, can I set headers, manage secrets, customize alerts, and so on? No. What I would say that the most configurable are always the code-based and script-based kind of tools, and I see new Relic was kind of one of like that, and it's interesting from this particular perspective, customizable. No? And this is a bit about the possibility to create dashboards, dig into data, into alerts, and visualize and understand what's going on. I found here that DataDog takes the lead, as anybody would expect from this player. No? And another question is it really easy to integrate the system into an existing monitoring system that you have in the organization? Can you write some information with the API inside the tool? DataDog offers a lot of integration outside the box, which makes it also easy for choosing a solution that is around DataDog. Last but not least, understand what you'll be paying for. No, definitely if you are building it yourself, understand what's the effort there in engineering hours, no, to make that happen. And also there's some free options out there that are offered by some tool provider that they can come with a very low frequency like a lower frequency, a lower granularity of running the monitors, and this, and definitely less locations, but this might help you to prove that you actually need this before building it. So going with that, any of the free solutions, and understanding if you get value out of building a more complex system, it's maybe a way to go before getting into paying a full solution. There are different pricing schemas, and it's like per user or per credit, like credit being like one execution in one location. No, and from my perspective, there is no clear winner in this case. Prices are very similar, and they depend also on the functionality that you're getting. Let's go to see one of these aspects that I have already mentioned in one of the tools out there. So as a side note, I've been giving this talk with a couple of occasions, and as an inevitable improvement points, it was like, hey, it's very interesting, but how does this look in a tool? No, we want to see something practically in action. So it is very hard to do a demo without within the lines promoting a certain technology or solution. So I like to specify that I'm not doing this here. I'm presenting Uptrends because I'm familiar with it, because this is what we are using today at Typhon. But the concepts you'll be seeing here are applying to any of the tools that I previously mentioned before. So without further ado, let's have a quick look on how Uptrends looks like. So when we are set up here. So basically, when you log in, you are going to have like interesting dashboard, understanding what's happening and what's going on in the different regions that you are monitoring your platform from. For this example, I've set up to hit the Renfe webpage from 2 different regions, one from Americas and the other one from Europe. And I can see that in the last day, I have this up 100% uptime. No, but let's dig in to see what's happening more into here. No, so if I go, for example, in the Americas, I can see more detailed explanation of what's happening in each particular location that I've selected as part of this region. So as you can see, some of the locations take more time than others. So this is a very interesting thing if you are if your company or product operates more on this, and this might give you insights. Why is this happening? You know, why do we have some more peaks of latency now in some areas? This is one aspect of the thing that it's interesting to look at. And coming back to here, let's look at how they are set up. So definitely, I created 2 monitors for the same endpoint that hit the different regions of the world. This is hitting from Europe, right? And from Europe, I have selected 6 cities. 2 from Belgium, 2 from France, and the other ones from Spain. So what is this giving to me is the availability of Europe. I consider it, what's Europe for me? No, well, Europe for me, it's these 6 locations. Based on the top of these 6 locations, I set up a 33% of confirmed error threshold. What does this mean? This means that if 33%, so 1/3 of these 6 checkpoints fails, I'm going to be alerted. So this directly maps to one country. If one country is down in Europe, I will get alerted. I will get alerted if Spain gets down. And setting this up, it's pretty straightforward. As you can see, I select the type of HTTPS. I select this. This will be once per minute executed as a concurrent monitoring. So all of the locations are concurrently hitting the endpoint. And I'm hitting directly their with the get, no, their page. You can set up some error conditions here, like as I was saying, based on performance, so latency, whatever the numbers are interesting for you, and also from a content perspective, no, like do you want to check exactly how the page looks, maybe, or if there's a static one, especially. And here you have the default, no, like the check the HTTP status, but you can also customize this, add more and more status codes over there. And on the advanced things like that, as I was saying, no, select the user agents that may be interesting to filter this out from security checks or data analytics. Any kind of authentication that you need to do, no, and request headers and so on, no. You can even go deeper and to understand maintenance periods, no, like if you're having your service or specific endpoint under maintenance, you can schedule this. So if something goes down, you don't get alerted, so you avoid that clutter of alerts over there, and so on. As you can see, there is not a lot of rocket science over this, and it's pretty straightforward to create. The science is in having the proper processes and the proper considerations in how to set this up before jumping into it. So to conclude my talk today, I'd like to stress out the following aspects. No? As a scaling organization, you need to look at things differently than before. So before jumping into setting everything up in any of the tools that are out there, as I mentioned many times, look at the current needs of checking availability in different world areas today, but also from the perspective of the near future, not just, hey, we have this, tomorrow we don't know. No, let's maybe try as well to fit what might come tomorrow as well into today. Although there are some best practices, the most important aspect is looking at the personalized context of your organization. Also, while designing this strategy and also rolling out this to teams and throughout the whole organization, and definitely choose a tool that can help you a bit more than just today. And I'm mentioning this because many organizations get stuck with a certain tool locked, vendor lock, they call it in the industry, because at a certain moment of time, they chose a particular technology that kind of got stuck with them. And as a scaling up organization and as a startup, we have some lessons learned as well from that. And I hope this I want to transmit this also to you. So last but not least, as a scaling engineering organization, there are many things that can be done much better. So if you choose to monitor the availability of your platform from different world areas, I recommend to start small and then figure out like the rest of the details along the way. This will be much more impactful for whatever you're doing. And if you want to reach out to me to set up this, or you just want to drop me a line and to ask me anything about this, definitely drop me a line on LinkedIn, add me there. Do check out my blogs for the experiences and opinions regarding the tech industry. And last but not least, I'd like to hear what you loved and hated of this talk today. And I invite you to scan the QR code that I just have in this page. This will redirect you to a lovely video ask by Typeflow. And I'm waiting to hear your thoughts about what would you improve for next time. And I believe now it's the time of you and you shining. So I'm looking forward for any questions that you might bring.
Okay, thank you so much. That was a really interesting presentation. I love actually looking in the tool at the end there to try and get the ideas about how you actually use it, as you were saying. Looking in the chat, we don't have any questions, but I have a few questions that I want to ask you. The first one is, you were saying that you need to weigh up that choice between DIY tools or actually buying a tool.
Yeah.
At what point would you think that building your own would be the way to go?
I would say definitely when you don't find any of the locations that you are interested in any of the vendors, definitely think about that. That's one thing. Another thing, if you are having, I know, if you are actually a company that gives out these services, like services in particular locations, and your product maybe is more physical or it's more location based, and you have certain, let's say, certain servers that are located in a particular part, by definition, more like on premise rather than cloud. For example, maybe consider that. And especially if you have already some similar servers doing similar things, and you could reuse them. No, imagine that setting up all of this might be very expensive in different locations, and I believe it doesn't scale if you don't already have them. So I would say that's the challenge over there. Personally, I think I come more from the context that I would rather pay than having to build that myself. But maybe there are some people in the audience that come from more of a background that might be useful for them. So looking forward to see some comments regarding this. I would be interested to see that.
Okay, thank you. And the other question that I had, I noticed in Uptrends when you were showing it, you had the ability to change the browser agent that you were using. So I'm guessing this would also then be good to not only check that you can access from different locations, but also make sure that your most important devices can connect as well.
There's, I think Uptrends by itself is a very versatile tool. So it can be used for even more things that we are currently mainly focusing on, and what was the talk about today, no? So definitely that can be something to be explored. I think there might be more value into doing that with the proper browser and understanding that there might be, you know, some visual defects over there. There's already tools in place that can help towards that, rather than doing an API call. But this is definitely cheaper, and at least if you know you are blocking certain devices for some reasons, this might be useful, no? Depending also on the use case and context.
Yeah. Okay. That was the questions that I had. Like I say, so looking in the chat, we don't have any more, and we're coming up for time. So I would like to thank you once again for that fantastic talk, and wish you a pleasant evening.